Good. And welcome everyone to the Town of Vesuvius regular open meeting of council, May 11th, 2021 at 2 p.m. in council chambers. So I need a resolution, please, to exclude the public. That in accordance with Ministerial Order M192, the Town of Vesuvius regular open council meeting continues to be closed to the public due to the inability to meet physical distancing recommendations made under the Public Health Act in council chambers located at 8707 Main Street. And that to ensure openness, transparency, accessibility, and accountability, the Town of Vesuvius regular open council meetings will continue to be recorded, streamed, and published on the town's website, and that the regular open meetings be streamed on Eastlink's community channel. I need a motion, please. Thank you, Councillor Rhodes, Councillor Bennett. All in favor? Thank you. Do you have to start that again? No. Okay. Thank you. That's carried. So the approval of the agenda and late items. So we have one item, Mrs. Hilson, that has been removed from the agenda.
Yes, we're gonna remove item J1,
Item J1.
which is the WASP trailer.
Yes, that item will be removed and moved to another meeting.
It might come back.
Okay. All right, so I would like to have the regular open agenda of May 11th be approved as amended, please. Councillor Rhodes, Councillor Harvey, all in favor. Thank you. The adoption of some minutes, the regular open minutes from April the 27th. I need someone to adopt those, please. Councillor King, Councillor Bennett, all in favor. Thank you. And no business arising, public hearings, no, none petitions. So we will, I will ask Mr. Zackel to talk to the financial statements of the Town of Vesuvius and the Sun Bowl, please.
Thank you, Mayor McCordock. So before council, we're talking about the 2020 financial statements for the Town of Vesuvius and Sun Bowl Arena. And at this time, I'm going to pass it over to our auditors, Darcy Haw and Jennifer Seville from MNP to provide the audit opinion.
Thank you. Go ahead, please.
Oh, Darcy, you're on mute.
I told myself I would never do that again, and there it was. Sorry. So we're going to talk to the independent audit reports. So these are the sections of the financial statements that belong to MMP, and the remainder of the financial statements are those of managements. So it's the second or third page in the financial statements, the independent auditor's report. So as you would imagine, it is a clean or unmodified audit opinion for 2020. So the most important paragraph of the audit report is the opinion paragraph. And I will read the section that talks to our opinion. So in our opinion, the accompanying financial statements present fairly in all material respects the financial position of the Town of Vesuvius as of December 31st, 2020, and the results of its operations, changes in net financial assets and cash flows for the year that ended in accordance with Canadian public sector accounting standards. So this report is dated today. Upon approval of the financial statements by Mayor and Council, we'll be in a position to issue the final financial statements. For the Sun Bowl Arena, the audit report is very similar. Again, it is a clean and unmodified opinion. The opinion here is on the statement of operations only, as it's not a full financial statement. And again, it is a clean and unmodified opinion, and the schedule is in accordance with Canadian public sector accounting standards. And again, also dated on today's date on the assumption that Mayor and Council approved these statements. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Darcy. So with the financial statements, I'm going to touch on some key highlights of them. And these financial statements reflect a continued improvement to the financial position of the Town of Vesuvius. 2020, we had cash surpluses in our general fund of $765,719.49. In our sewer fund, $76,642.91. Our water fund, $249,778.24. For our net financial assets or net debt on page number 1, our net debt measures municipality's ability to cover its financial liabilities with its financial assets at any given point in time. And the town's position improved by $412,785, bringing the net financial asset balance to $9,170,619 for 2020. Under reserves, funds held in reserves total $20,744,103 at December 31st, compared to $20,677,442 in 2019. And for 2020, it's broken down in unrestricted surplus of $5,452,816, reserve accounts $13,557,357, and development cost charges $1,733,930. For our debt on page 11, outstanding debt, including equipment financing as of December 31st, has decreased in 2020 by $363,402 and brings us to a balance of $9,611,258. The totals are broken down as follows. Under our general fund, for the fire hall, we have debt of $5,367,218. For general fund roads, $328,435. Under sewer, for sewer capital projects, which is mainly our main lift station, is $3,498,175. Under our water fund, water capital projects is $68,798. And under operational fire services equipment, $348,632. Under our landfill's remaining capacity as of December 31st is 77.1%. This is a reduction of 2.2% from 2019. And the landfill post-closure liability at year-end remaining the same balance as $210,062 because of the valuation of future capacity. Under cemetery care fund, this fund is increased by $3,652 in 2020 for a balance of $100,750. Under tangible capital assets net book value total $75,995,871 as of December 31st, as compared to $70,661,907 in 2019. Our capital asset acquisitions were $7,531,469 as compared to 2019 at $3,529,790. Legislation and policy, section 171 of the Community Charter sets a requirement that municipal auditors must report to council on financial statements to the municipality. And under Sunville Arena financial statements, we had a surplus of $59,145 in 2020, and that was mainly due to us not purchasing our ice resurfacer in 2020 and deferring that to later this year. So implications, community to provide financial accountability to the town, organizational to provide financial accountability to council and staff. Under significant dates, financial statements must be approved and sent to the province by a statutory deadline of May 14th. And options for council to approve the town of Ocius and Sunville Arena audited financial statements as presented. For option 2, to refer back to staff for additional information. And recommendation is option number 1.
Thank you very much. Council, what's your pleasure on this? Councilor Rhodes.
Thank you, Mayor McCord. I'll move to start.
Thank you very much. There's a seconder for this. Councilor Bennett. Are there any questions or concerns either of Director Zacco or Darcy Hong, our auditor?
I'd like to ask some questions.
Go ahead,
Thank
Councilor
you,
Bennett.
Madam Mayor. I guess it's page 21, general capital funds. it shows an increase of about, at the bottom, about $1.5 million. It seems like you take money out of reserve, so I'm just wondering how it ends up as an increase.
That's good. It's a good question. So what we have in there in 2020 is we received our COVID restart grant from the province. The 1.539 million, we utilized $372,593 in 2020. And that left a balance at year end of $1.1 million. So there's a substantial increase to it right there. Some adjustments that have taken place during the year, resort municipality fund as an example. We got the annual funding, but we didn't spend that much in 2020. We've got that all year marked in 2021. So that's the explanation of what what the biggest differences are in there.
So on that COVID restart fund that it relates, we have about 1.2 million left to spend, 1.166.
That's correct. And in our 5-year financial plan, we had allocated a portion of that in 2021 and 2022, I believe.
Thank you.
Also, we've got our funding that we had for the Indigo Pier that now has been settled. Those monies are now showing in this surplus reserve fund under waterfront improvements of 427,000.
Thank you.
Hey, anyone else have any questions? No, looks like everything is good. Thank you very much, Mr. Zackel and our auditors for presenting a very clear picture of where we're at, especially during a very odd year with COVID problems. But we appreciate your continued guidance on this, Director Zackel, and thank you to our auditors for taking the time to report to us today. So we have gone with option number 1, and I'm going to call the vote. All in favor? That is carried. Totally. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Darcy, and we look forward to seeing you next year.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay, we will now move on to the Main Street improvements design. Is that you?
Nope, Mr. Ronstein's gonna do this digitally.
Oh,
Here.
sorry, I didn't see him up there.
There it is.
Mr. Brown,
I'm doing it remotely today.
are you trying to avoid us or what? Probably.
A
Kidding.
little bit.
Okay, would you go ahead, please, with your,
Thank you, Your Worship. This is further to our workshop with council, I believe 3 weeks ago in regards to the conceptual master plan for Main Street. There was concerns brought up by a few council members in regards to the scope of the original project, in regards to providing a little bit more public and stakeholder engagement, and a little bit wider scope in regards to the area in which we're looking at. So we went back to WSP, who is the successful proponent, and asked them for costs associated with widening that scope. As for the staff report, they're looking at a total budget of $95,000. So that's a $30,000 increase to the original concept design. But again, it'll provide a greater stakeholder engagement, provide a better community engagement, and then increase that corridor to include the intersection at 97 all the way down to Lake Shore. We're looking to council with 2 options: is either increase that scope at a cost of $95,000, or continue with the status quo, and we will continue to design a master plan for Eagle Court to Cottonwood, and a schematic design from Main Street to Park Place. Or sorry, Park Place to Kingfisher. Apologize.
okay, so we have 2 options here. And so you're recommending option number 1, we increase?
That is correct, Your Worship. It is within budget. There is $100,000 available for this project.
Good, thank you very much. Councilor King,
Yeah, I'll move option 1.
is there a seconder for that? Got Councillor Harvey is seconding that. Does anybody have any concerns? All right, so we will ask for a vote. All in favor of option 1. Thank you very much. That's carried.
All right,
Mr.
thank you, Worship.
Is the water on yet down in number 9?
Yes, it is, Your Worship. It was on as of 1:15.
Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to go next to, Mrs. Hilson. The proclamations policy.
Thank you. The proclamation policy was adopted at the regular open meeting of February 3rd, 1997. The policy is outdated and staff are suggesting that council amend the current policy as it could allow the mayor to refuse a proclamation request on the basis of prohibited grounds in the Human Rights Code. The purpose of the Human Rights Code is clearly defined in Section 3 of the Act as follows. The purpose of this code are as follows: to foster a society in British Columbia in which there are no impediments to full and free participation in the economic, social, political, and cultural life of British Columbia, to promote a climate of understanding and mutual respect where all are equal in dignity and rights, to prevent discrimination prohibited by this code, to identify and eliminate persistent patterns of inequality associated with the discrimination prohibited by this code, and to provide a means of redress for those persons who are discriminated against contrary to this code. The BC Human Rights Tribunal has confirmed in 2 previous decisions that municipal proclamations where they are provided are a service, which is defined in Section 8 of the code, which says a person must not, without a bona fide and reasonable justification, deny a person or class of persons any accommodation, service, or facility customarily available to the public, or to discriminate against a person or class of persons regarding any accommodation, service, or facility customarily available to the public because of the race, color, ancestry, place of origin, religion, marital status, family status, physical or mental disability, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, or expression or age of that person or class of person. So staff are continuously reviewing regulatory bylaws, policies, and procedures within the organization to ensure that they are relevant, complying with provincial and federal regulations, and meeting the organization's needs. After reviewing the proclamations policy, staff are suggesting that council amend the policy to ensure it complies with provincial and federal legislation, specifically the Human Rights Code. So staff are suggesting to replace Part 1, Section 2 of the policy with the following. The mayor is authorized to make any proclamation upon request by any group and will do so in accordance with the provisions of this policy in BC Human Rights Code. Staff are further suggesting that Part 2, Section B of the policy be amended by deleting that part and replacing it with the following. The mayor will not issue proclamations that expose racism, discrimination, violence, or hatred. The mayor will also not issue proclamations that promote a particularly political or religious organization or point of view, as the town wishes to maintain political and religious neutrality. Even if the town do not have a policy regarding proclamations, the mayor may proclaim or the council may declare a day of recognition that is to be observed in the municipality as per Section 157 of the community charter. So implications for the community, ensuring that the proclamations made by the town are of the to promote a climate of understanding and mutual respect. And so the options before council are that council amend proclamations policy as described above. 2, that council request staff make further changes to the policy. 3, that council does not approve the amendments to the proclamations policy. And 4, that council repeals proclamation policy CCL01. And staff are recommending option 1, that council amend proclamations policy CCL01 to ensure that it meets provincial and federal legislation and that any proclamation made by the town of Osoyoos promotes a climate of understanding and mutual respect.
Thank you very much. Councillor Harvey, did you have your hand up?
No, I was just wondering why the screen wasn't showing the participants in this room.
Okay.
Oh, I got rid of that.
Broadcasting.
Got rid of that.
People can,
Yeah.
that's all I'm interested in.
Councillor Rhodes.
Thank you, Member Cordo. I need to prolong the discussion regarding this particular topic. And I want to make it perfectly clear, I'm not talking about the current mayor. But what if we had a mayor that had different visions of racism and the other points that are in there and killed a proclamation because of their personal views? Is there some way to review that at the time? I'm not trying to be vague about how a mayor would have an opinion about those things that may be different than the intent of the policy.
I think what's important is once provided, it becomes a municipal service. And it's important that you don't discriminate in how you treat the applicants for a proclamation. And that's why I prefer that we have a policy as opposed to none, because it will help guide those types of decisions as to whether a proclamation will be made or not, to avoid some of the difficulties. One community I worked in for a number of years, the Gay and Lesbian Association came forward and asked for a proclamation of Pride Week. And the mayor had been in the habit of issuing proclamations himself and refused to do so. I would put those on the council agenda for council to consider, and council would approve it each and every year. But the very act of treating this one proclamation request different than another really constituted discrimination. I'm to understand that a couple of years after I left, they were brought before the Human Rights Tribunal, and the corporation was levied a penalty, and certain individuals had to take some diversity sensitivity training. So yeah, it does turn on an individual and what an individual believes. You know, you could say, well, we won't do any proclamations, but the statutory authority still exists. So the idea is to make sure that we're treating everyone equally and not discriminating on the prohibited grounds in the Human Rights Code.
So is that why you put that in number 2, that that the mayor is authorized to make any proclamation upon request by any group and will do so in accordance with the provisions of the policy in BC's Human Rights Code? That is kind of the way we deal with it. Any mayor or any council would deal with it. Is that why?
Yeah, that proclamation policy is about the mayor issuing proclamations, not the council.
Yes, so are you, yeah, but, and so is that's going to continue, that the
Yeah.
mayor will do it?
Yeah, and that would be, that statement about in compliance with the Human Rights Code is consistent with provisions of a respectful workplace policy.
Right. So one more thing is that over the past several years, when somebody has asked for a proclamation, we did have the old rules, and we always felt that if it had something to do with our local citizens or things that were happening in our town, that was a pretty easy one to deal with. Sometimes we were asked for something that had no relevance to anything in Esuias, and therefore that we just didn't go any further with that. So now it would be required that I bring this forward to, if I happen to get it, bring it forward to the rest of, to our directors and our staff to make sure that we are, or do we still have the option to say, yes, this makes sense, or no, this doesn't?
The policy informs some of those things, which I can recall a lot of councils being asked to indicate their support for the people who are practitioners of Falun Gong. And that's a particular religious belief in China. This policy says you won't take statements about particular religious beliefs or creeds. So it should make it easier to sort through what fits and what doesn't, and provide a basis for those decisions.
Thank you. Go ahead, Councilor King.
Yeah, this says it will not be dealt with at council meetings, so it's the discretion of the mayor can make proclamations without us knowing, or how do we find out she's even made one?
We publish them, and they
Like after the fact.
yeah, the emails would go out, or yeah.
Okay.
Is that all right with?
Well, I don't think I have a problem with it. You're a good mayor. Who knows what'll
Thank
be
you.
next?
Okay, go ahead, Councilor Rose.
So just for clarity, if there is a proclamation that is turned down because of the current mayor's belief or whatever, would that automatically go to council, and what process would we use to do that? Am I correct? Or does it just disappear?
I guess if we believe that a refusal to issue a proclamation was inconsistent with the policy, we'd report that to council.
Everybody okay with this then? So would somebody like to make a motion based on one of the 4 options?
Move number 1.
Councillor King's moving option number 1. Are you seconding that, Councillor Rhodes? Any other concerns? Okay, we'll ask the question. All in favor? Thank you. Thank you for doing that, Mrs. Hilson. General net payroll and Sunbowl Arena financial accounts. So to report on expenditures from accounts payable and payroll information as of May the 11th, 2021. General cash requirements are $388,292.58. And Sunbowl cash requirements of $22,291.31. And net payroll accounts of $85,980.43. And we have 2 options for council to receive: the general cash requirements, Sunbowl cash requirements, and net payroll accounts as referenced above, or number 2, to request additional information from staff. Council, Councillor Rhodes.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I'll move option 1.
Thank you. Your seconder, Councillor Bennett. All in favor? Thank you very much. And the next item is a summary of the building permits. And we have so many these days that the print had to be shrunk to fit on the page. So we're very happy to report that the total for the month of building permits is $10,249,000. And to date, we have $15,276,000. And total to date in 2020 was $5 million. So we doubled that. And Councillor Rhodes.
Thank you, Member Cordova. So everybody in Asturias is experiencing a lot of positive energy with real estate sales and all that kind of stuff going on. A lot of our retail outlets are doing quite well, and I know there are some businesses that are suffering because of the pandemic. But I've said at almost every meeting that we'll get a building report, it is a good barometer to assess how the economic environment is in our community. And I was going to ask for 1 minute silence so we could all ponder this, but I know that interrupts the meeting, and I'm the only one that finds it funny. But, this is a good report for everybody to review and have a look at, because it does tell us the economic state of our community. And I'm going to stick my neck out here. I think we're on track now to set a record. I don't remember exactly what the record was. I think it was 48 million for a year. Back when Watermark was built in the day, and I think we could exceed that because we're only a third way through the year. So.
Thank you. So besides some single family dwellings and garages and that type of thing, there's quite a few developments going on at Peanut Lake Development. So,
Correct.
And there are some additional ones that are coming forward.
Thank you, Mayor Reporter. We just received like moments ago the next 2 buildings, so 2 more 4-plex building permit submissions just arrived in the office just before I came over here, so they're gonna just keep going.
So,
And I'm also happy to report that they managed to find housing for the people to build the units, and in the next week or so, you'll see the footings going in for the first buildings, and it's gonna go very, very quickly now.
well, thank you, because it's certainly one of the questions that many of us have been asked. I need to find a place for my people that want to work here, and where can they go? And the concern, of course, is that housing prices have gone up dramatically, and so it does become quite an issue. So I appreciate the fact that many of the new homes and developments that are happening now are looking at having rental suites and some near market housing attached to them. So that's a very good report to have, and it makes us all happy. That was for the month of April. And could I please have a motion to accept the building inspector report and have it received? Councillor King, thank you. Councillor Rhodes, all in favor? Thank you very much. Next is the Ms. McKay, report 3, third reading and draft DP for Meadowlark Phase 3.
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff. I'm very pleased to be here today with phase 3 of the Meadowlark Plan area. The owners of this property are Jasvinder and Kilmeet Ajla. The applicant is Dexter Harabi from WSP Consulting Services. And I think we're all fairly familiar with where the Meadowlark Plan area is. So again, as you mentioned, the purpose of this report is that request that council consider third reading of official community plan amendment bylaw number 120.26 and third reading of zoning amendment bylaw number 1085.128. In addition to the zoning amendments, I've got the draft development permit here for your review. And of course, this package is being prepared to send to the Agricultural Land Commission, and we can talk a little bit more about that in a moment. Pardon me. So the subject property, of course, is in the Southeast Meadowlark Plan area. It's currently occupied with a single family home, which faces 74 Avenue. You will notice that the older greenhouses have been removed, and the property has also recently been cleaned up, and it looks really great over there. So implementation of the Southeast Meadowlark Plan was contingent on including intensive residential development zone within our bylaw, zoning bylaw. And the IRD zone that we refer to this is designed specifically to meet the vision of the Meadowlark Plan by allowing for a mix of residential uses within the zone. So this allows for a variety of building forms, an example, a small lot, single detached housing, 2-family or duplex housing, low-rise apartments, etc. So the Southeast Meadowlark Plan lands were pre-identified in the OCP as potential future growth area, which would become available for development with agricultural land commission approval, pardon me. The commission recognized the area has already been cut up by scattered development and no longer offers as good a potential for agriculture as other areas. However, the commission required a plan be submitted for their review, which establishes a broad range of suitable land uses, including mixed housing forms and tenures. The road plan patterns and edge planning guidelines were also required. The Meadowlark Plan was prepared in response to the commission's need to guide future development to the area. And of course, the commission endorsed the Southeast Meadowlark Plan in 2010. So for phase 3, in order to meet the minimum densities as per the Meadowlark Plan, the development proposal must achieve a density of at least 30 units per hectare. So in this case, the developable area of 0.9 hectares, the proposed development is required to provide 27 residential units, and is demonstrated in the table within the report. They actually achieved 30 units, which is good to see. So obviously compliance with the subdivision development servicing bylaw is a requirement of subdivision approval. And of course, the applicant has met with the town's engineer and the director of operations regarding site servicing inclusive of the road dedication requirements, water, sewer, and stormwater management. And details on this will also be addressed through the subdivision stage. Just in case you're wondering, the engineers for both phase 2 and phase 3 have had to work closely together because of course, those properties are adjoining, but will also share services. So a public hearing was held on March 2nd, the same day as the public hearing for phase 2, you'll recall. And that was attended by several members of the community who live in the Meadowlark Plan area. And so you'll notice we've attached the minutes from that meeting, but we have both phase 2 and phase 3 here because people are commenting sort of on both of them back and forth. So we included all the minutes in your report. So staff supported the proposed development, which is considered to be further implementation of the Meadowlark Plan. The plan itself had extensive community review. has been designed to help address community housing needs by providing a variety of housing forms and tenures within a limited land base. Proposed phase 3 meets the guidelines in the plan by contributing to the rental housing stock, that is secondary suites that are included, and by entering into a housing agreement to maintain the 2 duplex homes for rental purposes at below market rental sales. And I'm pleased to provide for you on the actual plan of subdivision. You'll note that on lots 7 and 8, that those are 2 duplexes. So those duplexes, as you can see in plans actual 7 and 8, they are both level entry. Plan 7 is full level entry. Plan 8 is actually full accessible. So what's going to happen with these is we will register a covenant on title for these two lots for the 4 duplex or the 4 units and 2 duplexes. That they must be maintained for rental purposes for a minimum of 10 years. And so they will be retained in ownership by the property owner. And they'll be offered at below market rentals for that period. So those are the first purpose-built rentals in the Middle Arc plan area. So that's nice to see. So implications for the community. Of course, the community benefits from the additional units being provided through your market housing program. The 4 level entry suites available for rent. And then the secondary suites are also an asset to help meet the diverse housing needs of our community. Organizationally, preliminary development proposals have been packages with sent to the outside agencies, MOT, Fortis, etc. No concerns have been raised to date. And then following successful 3rd reading, we would then send it to the Ministry of Transportation and Infrastructure, but they've identified no concerns. So all information received to date will be packaged up, sent to the Agricultural Land Commission for review and comment. Recommendations or requirements outlined by the ALC will then be addressed. And you'll recall we just did that for phase 2. There's no impacts to the budget associated with this particular report or the development in general. However, further consideration may be given to improving road access along 74th in the future. Again, significant dates, this item will be placed on a future council agenda for consideration of final adoption and sustainability. The proposal helps address community sustainability goals by providing additional housing forms and tenures. Options before council today, option 1 in 2 parts. 1A, council grants 3rd reading to OCP amendment bylaw number 1230.26 2020, and B, council grants 3rd reading to zoning amendment bylaw number 1085.128 2020. Option 2, council requests additional information before proceeding further, or option 3, council repeats the bylaws at 3rd reading, and of course, staff are recommending option number 1 in 2 parts. I'm not sure where that little bit went, or our signature blocks. My apologies. Anywho, option number 1, A and B recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Go ahead, Councilor King.
I have a question. When you mentioned those rental properties, is there any guarantee that you'll actually build them? Because usually these developments go in phases. So you might, I guess, depending on how sales go, will you actually get to building them? Or does you have to build them first?
Well, actually, that's a very good question. We've never required them to build anyone's first or second,
No,
etc. So that's a very good question. It's certainly something we can take a look at.
You're gonna register a covenant.
We're gonna
title
register a covenant on
To
title.
those parcels before subdivision.
right, I agree, okay. Yeah, the covenant, but that doesn't mean they'll ever get built.
We won't build anything else there either.
No, but I mean, you can.
Exactly.
You can build like 20 some other buildings before they go on.
Well, we can certainly, thank you, Councillor King. We can certainly register a covenant saying they have to be built within the first 50% of the units.
No, I don't know if you want to put that constraint on it because the houses are more lined up with the roads that kind of built in a certain way. Makes it easier for developer in the bigger picture. I quite understand that, but I mean, I don't know what we could say to
Yeah.
force them to really
No,
build them.
I appreciate that. It's interesting when they're putting in a lot of infrastructure to put in all the units. So I suspect that they'll want to get them built and get them rented out to start to recoup some of those funds. Sorry?
So just a question on the covenant, because I'm not familiar with the formula, but haven't seen it before. The 10-year clock starts running when occupancy is granted?
That's correct.
So can I'm just looking at the map there,
Mhm.
my assumption is that lots 1A, 1B, and 1C are accessed by 74th Avenue.
That's correct.
And all the other lots are accessed by what's called Road A.
That's correct.
Off of Ren Drive.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
that's what I thought, that's what it looks like.
And just for further clarification, unit 9B, which is would be the first home off Ren Drive on the left-hand side if you're
Yes.
going west. That would must be a single-story home as well, and that's outlined in the development permit, and there's specific plans for that house. And that's so that we don't have any two-story homes that back onto the public park,
Oh, okay,
which we'll discuss later.
thank you. So, nobody's made a motion yet? No, Councilor Rhodes,
Move the staff recommended option.
1A.
Yes.
Okay, so that would be the official community plan amendment. Is there a seconder for that? Thank you, Councilor King. Any questions? All in favor? Thank you.
Thank you.
And now we're looking at option 1B. Somebody like to move that, Councilor Rhodes, is there a seconder for that one? Councilor Harvey? Any questions on the zoning amendment bylaw? Okay, all in favor? Thank you very much. That's carried. Thank you, Ms. McKay. And now we're down to, the CAO report.
Oh, it was a long way to start, your worship. Sorry, I'll be brief. We've been participating in reviewing resumes and interviews for the exempt utilities supervisor position, a position we hope to be able to fill for a start July the 1st. Much like you, your worship, there's been one too many teleconferences, video conferences, Zoom meetings, etc. Participated in one with the Minister of Municipal Affairs and the Minister of Public Safety regarding the COVID travel restrictions. Another with the Minister of Municipal Affairs and the Minister of Citizen Services to discuss COVID updates, connectivity, and local government support. Met with Collier's Project Management, Mr. Bronstein, and the Osoyoos Childcare to discuss the expansion plans to utilize the UBCM Childcare Spaces Creation Grant that they received. We need to get that project underway. As I mentioned to council earlier, we were concerned that the East Side Fire Hall would be sold. The owner had indicated an interest in selling that property, and indeed he did sell it. I worked with our legal counsel to get a lease agreement, assignment, and assumption agreement registered with the new owner. So the current lease that the town has remains in effect until the end of May 2024. And then the town has a 5-year renewal option after that. I'd like to say thanks very much to the previous owner and to the purchaser for entertaining the continuation of the town's lease. So town's got a little more time to figure out long-term what the picture looks like for an East Side Fire Hall or not. So it was nice. We were concerned because it was due to their good graces that we actually got to continue on with that. So express our thanks to them. Community services, as the majority of you will know, the South Okanagan Aquatic Center Advisory Committee kicked off with its first meeting, I believe it was Wednesday of last week, with representatives from the town of Osoyoos, town of Oliver, the Osoyoos Indian Band, and Sierra Planning and Design. They've agreed to meet on the first Wednesday of each month at 10 a.m. and information regarding the process and minutes, outcomes, public input, surveys will be posted on our respective websites. And so that project's hoped to be wrapped up by end of October. And if they stick to the schedule, it's probably quite achievable. There continues to be a COVID immunization clinic at the Samara Community Center. It's currently on Mondays and Wednesdays, and I'm told that people need to go online to register in order to get themselves an appointment. It's become quite wide open now to most members of the community. There might be some who aren't yet eligible due to age. It really depends community by community and based on what's happening in those communities. So go to the Interior Health website and make yourself
No,
registered.
provincial, it's a provincial website.
Is it? Okay, provincial website.
It's, yes, it is, and it's on our website, on the town of Sweet.
Under the spotlight, you can find it. Okay, thank you. I'll do that. In the world of corporate services, our deputy corporate officers are busy with interviews and job postings and FOI requests. Working on the facility for the virtual public hearing that we're gonna have next week. It's a week from today.
Yes.
That's correct.
At 5 p.m. And there's information on our website and in the newspaper about how people can gain access to the meeting in order to make their view known. They can do it by telephone or by Zoom. Right? And certainly been receiving a lot of written submissions as well. It'll be presented to council as part of that public hearing process. Financial services, council just approved the audited financial statements for the town and the Sun Bowl Arena earlier today. It's finalizing some budget adjustments and a proposed amendment to the financial plan will likely be presented to council on May the 25th. Preparing to issue property tax notices. The fire department, 3 more members have completed the NFPA 1001 firefighter 1 and 2 training. 5 new members have completed their probationary period and are full members. We've got 2 more new recruits. Certainly interest in being part of the Soyuz Fire Rescue Department is really high. It's really nice to see. Testament to the really great job that the deputy chiefs are doing and to the team at the Soyuz Fire Rescue. It's not without effort. It's not written in this report, but they attended another structure fire on the weekend. In fact, the same structure on both Saturday and Sunday mornings. We don't know what or why the house reignited, but sometimes they do. So that kind of got them all worn out. But that's what they're there for. That's what they're doing. So they started to take over fire inspections as noted last time with the fire department. And they'll work with Mr. Padgett to ensure that we can complete those things for hotels and public buildings and restaurants as we should. Planning and development, as you noted earlier, really good news on the building permit values. So a lot of residential units being built in the community and a lot more planned. So it's looking really good. Planning and development's been working with our new communications person to put up the first draft of the OCP onto the town's website, issue an e-news and provide a survey for the community to share their thoughts about that draft. You'll probably see some changes to e-news and we'll look at the website and stuff over the coming months as our communications coordinator gets his teeth into things. Already liking what I'm seeing in the direction of one, so it's good. Multifamily proposal coming in and be presented to council in the near future. Operational services, it's the usual maintenance and repairs, but mostly occupying Mr. Bronstein's time and others is a very aggressive capital program this year. We're making good progress on the majority of those things. You asked about water district time. The project seems to be going along well. There's always going to be issues, service interruptions, breakdowns, but for the most part, all going well. And we're hoping to commence the temporary closure of 85th from Main Street north to the alley, starting May 17th to create this plaza and experience and see how that works and goes off in town. So that's be exciting to see how that plays out too. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Could we please have a motion to receive the CIO report? Councillor Rhodes, Councillor King, all in favor. Thank you. Now we'll go on to council reports. Councillor Bennett.
Just 2 quick reports. One is school district 53 basically what they usually do, they do a student learning plan and they share with all the communities. And this year, because of COVID, they make sure that each community gets a meeting room, which is really good. And then on the site, over on the Audit Center, that was, they all mentioned on the fifth. Basically, there we kind of did introductions and term of reference and I looked at the timetable to make sure we get done by. That's what I think.
Thank you. Councillor Harvey.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Two items. Last Wednesday, I attended the library board's budget committee first meeting of the year to receive the financial report from last year and to give direction to staff on planning for budget for next year for 2021. And we're asking them to present a number of options as far as that budget goes, from a range of 0 to 1% and 2% increases, just to see what the mix would look like. Second, I attended on the mayor's behalf the Interior Health Mayor's Vaccine Roundtable Zoom call on Thursday. It's pretty much as discussed during the CAO's report. As of last week, anybody age 49 and over was eligible. They're at the point now where Dr. DeVillers said, if you want a first shot, come in and you can get one, is kind of the current status in Interior Health. So it's going well. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for attending that, Councillor Harvey. Councillor Rhodes.
Thank you, Member Kordoff. Only one matter. The dog park committee has kind of completed its terms of reference that were originally struck when the committee was set up. You know, our CAO likes to call it the task force. Is that what you call it?
It's a select committee, it's not a
Select
standing committee.
Yeah.
Council. It was intended to undertake certain things delegated or asked of council. When they were complete, typically they're disbanded.
Yeah, a couple more years of that, I'll get it right. So there's a great deal of sadness when we figured that out, that everything was completed and we had to disband the committee. So I'm happy to announce that it's been re-energized again. The current members on there will remain on there. We're going to go through a recruitment process to try to get another 1 or 2 members on there. And of course, expand the terms of reference to include other dogs in the dog parks in the community, both water access ones and other, land ones. Not to necessarily develop new dog parks, but look to improve the ones that we have right now. And it's been re-energized. Everybody's been happy. Sounds good, and I think some positive stuff can be done over the next period of time. So a recruitment request, anybody that's interested in the community, you don't have to be a dog lover, but if you're wondering what you can do to help out in our community, this is a great time. You can call me or Gerald Davis at Samara Center, or anybody of our town staff who have any interest in it, and hopefully we can expand that committee with some new ideas and opinions. As a counselor and being ahead of that committee over the last few years, I can't say enough of what the people that participated in it. It was all positive. We never had any negative stuff to really deal with. And we took it from an old dirt, weed infested field into something that we get regular comments on all the time. So thank you to that committee. Thank you to Gerald Davis for kind of organizing everything. And at the end of the day, he's the one that gets all the work done. So just wanted to kind of pass that on. I've probably done it, a dozen times in the last couple of weeks, but I'm really happy that we're going to move forward with that.
Great, thank you very much. And we certainly do. I see oftentimes people comment on what a great dog park we have here. I mean, not only do you have washrooms there, but lots of grass and outdoor activities, and you get a beautiful view while you're up there with your dog. So thank you to the committee for continuing on and being energized. Councillor King.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. I guess I attended 3 different Zoom meetings. One was with the Aqua Center moving forward, like Mr. Myers said, terms of reference, getting to know who's on the committee, and a timeline I think was very important. They've already set a date for next month, so that's kind of exciting moving forward. Also was on a Zoom meeting with Accessibility and Friendly Committee. And a couple of things that cross relate, since you mentioned the dog park, Mr. Rhodes, would be, if you could put this on your agenda, accessibility, parking near the park would be one thing, and possibly a path inside the park, so a person, say on a wheelchair, could get to the gazebo or something.
Yeah, it's right at the top of our, in terms of.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And a little bit of a report. It was kind of interesting to find out when they were looking at possibly putting that second Moby mat, which has allowed people in wheelchairs to go into the water. They were going to put it down on Cottonwood Park there, and come to realize that public washrooms aren't accessible like washrooms. So we're hoping Mr. Davis will bring it forward through this year sometime for maybe next year's budget. There's actually a couple of public washrooms that aren't accessible for wheelchair people, which was kind of interesting to find out. And then moving on to the other Zoom meeting, I was on the Zoom meeting with Desert Park Excavation Society. They're quite enthusiastic group. They bought a new tractor, new lawnmower, building some outs for horses, update, there's no racehorses there anymore. They all left by May 1st. So on one side, it's a little quieter and they get some kind of work done on the barns. But they are very excited moving forward and hopefully working with a longer term, at least with the town. Thank you.
Thank you. So, yes, so I've been on a few meetings as well for the last couple of weeks. I did attend the School District 53 budget meeting. Normally, Councillor Bennett attends that, but I did, and I found it was quite interesting to, as a longtime teacher here, what they were doing and how they were managing. They've done very well with dealing with things with the COVID restrictions, and of course it's made things a little bit more difficult. But one of the things that, or a couple of things that they had talked about was having longer days for the custodians. I think when I was teaching, there was a custodian that was there all day, and then they cut it down and the custodian then comes in now, I think at 2 o'clock or something, and works through to the evening to get all the work done. They're now thinking that they might extend those hours a little bit so that they will have some additional cleaning in the schools. And they've also put in their budget to increase hand sanitizers in all of the schools for next year, which of course was new totally this year. And interesting that that the tech ed, Boyd Turnbull, talked and made, just talked about shop classes at the high schools. And one of the concerns that he discovered was that in order to do projects in their shop classes, they needed to purchase metal and wood. And the price of those has gone up dramatically. So I think he gave some stats to the school district, but definitely they're going to have an increase in their budget in order to do the projects that they normally do in shop classes. Interesting how these things, all of a sudden spring out. Anyway, thank you, Councillor Bennett, for putting me onto that, and I enjoyed that meeting. At the last RDOS meeting, regional district, we had an update from the RCMP, and all of the sergeants from the 6 municipalities are in attendance, and they each give a little report, and so does the Superintendent Hunter. And when Sergeant Beta talked about Suius, he said there were a couple of things. One is, and it wasn't just Suius, but everywhere in the district, there seems to be a fair amount of license plate theft. And so it's not something that you might consider going and checking your license plate, but they all encourage people to do that, because sometimes people will take off a license plate and put on another one, you might not notice. So that was sort of an interesting thought. And also frauds, according to the Sergeant Beta, there are frauds in rental houses, and I think it's expanded. So from other areas, people will put something on and say on Facebook, or I'm not sure what other media they do it on, and they will rent homes which are not theirs, and they will ask people to send money. It's an awful thing. However, I was quite impressed with what they were all talking about, and I asked Sergeant Beta if he would please come and do an updated report to council, and I sent it to Brianna and Alan, and he said he definitely would, so that will be arranged very soon. And I particularly wanted him to talk a little bit about summer plans, and because we know that people are not traveling right now, but if things open up, it could mean quite a jump in the number of people that are in town. So he is going to do that very soon. Market on Main had their first opening day on May the 8th. It was a lovely day. I got some fresh bread, and there was coffee there. There was fresh scones. I mean, it's unfortunate that I go every week because I always come back with a large bag of goodies. But it's a really good thing to support. There were 21 vendors there. The committee had put boundaries around it, and they have lots of information and hand sanitizer and so on. So they're doing a really good job, and the market will be on every Saturday from now until the middle of September. So please go down. I think it's from 9 until 1. I'm not quite sure. It's a great thing to go to. I was also on Highway 3 Mayors and Chairs Zoom meeting. And so we talked about that's from Hope to the Alberta border, and several members of the Ministry of Highways attended the meetings. And one of the things, well, a couple things that has been asked for since I've been on this committee, since I became the mayor. And one is that electric charging stations along Highway 3, and those are increasing. Also, whenever they do a plan to redo a road or adjust something or a bridge, we have requested that they include bike lanes if they can. Doesn't always work, but bike lanes is certainly something that has been encouraged. And the other thing, and it's more over in the Kootenays, is underpass for wildlife, or sometimes there's an overpass. And there are quite a few of them that are going on because it's sort of on the route from the States all the way up for animals. And they had some wonderful pictures of the types of passes that they're doing. So that's always an interesting meeting to be on. Okanagan Basin Water Board meeting was also last week, and it was a joint meeting with our Water Stewardship Council, the technical body of Okanagan Basin Water Board. And tomorrow I'm on a webinar with this group, and it's on the water supply webinar. So basically, reservoir levels, snowpack, groundwater, weather forecast. Those are all the kinds of things that will be talked about on this. So I'm looking forward to hearing about that. And I just want to remind people that the census is out right now, and they're trying to collect information. It does not seem, according to Councillor King, whose wife is quite involved with this, that there is that everybody has been contacted yet. But please keep that in the back of your mind. You should have something delivered to your home, or I'm not sure whether mailboxes in the rural areas. Anyway, it's an ongoing issue right now, and I encourage people to take the time. According to Councillor Rhodes, it takes 5 minutes to fill in the survey. So please do that so that we have an idea of how many people are here in Vesuvius. So I think that's all that I had to talk about today. So I will now ask for a motion, please, to move to in camera, that the public be excluded from the in-camera meeting pursuant to section 91 of the community charter. A part of a council meeting shall be closed to the public if the subject matter being considered relates to or is one of or more of the following. 91A, personal information about an identifiable individual who holds or is being considered for a position as an officer, employee, or agent of the municipality or another position appointed by the municipality. And number 2, 91E, the acquisition, disposition, or expropriation of land or improvements if the council considers that disclosure could reasonably be expected to harm the interests of the municipality. So could I have a mover and a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Rhodes, Councillor King, all in favor. Thank you.